Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today I'm going to go through the new Lumineth box set for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, along with the new rules inside. So we'll be doing an unboxing of this set, and we're going to be looking at the rules. If you wanted to just scoot past all the unboxing stuff and look at the rules right off the hop, then I will have somewhere around here the timestamp for that, as well as it'll be in the description below. First off, this box is really nice. It has a 96 special edition Battletome for the Lumineth Realm Lords, a 16-page core rules booklet, 20 Lumineth dice, a 3-inch combat gauge. Ooh, that's nice. Ah, there it is. Cool. 1 token sheet and 36 cards for artifacts of power, command traits, and spell lores. So this sounds like a fantastic set to start off with. Alright, a poster with that art with Warhammer Age of Sigmar on the back. I like it, though I think I would have liked it a little bit better if it had this pretty blue in it, but still pretty. Alright, we have got lots of fancy sprues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably the character, yeah. A 9-inch ruler, the tokens, the book, the assembly guide. Oh, look at that book. Very pretty. Alright, our Lumineth Realm Lords Assembly Guide. And coloring on the back. I do really like this box art color scheme. And did you know, I haven't read it yet, but the new White Dwarf says that there is going to be rules for Lumineth Realm Lords in Warcry, and I'm going to be soon reading that White Dwarf as soon as I have a chance, probably right after this. Core rules, and all the lovely tokens. Oh, that looks fancy. We'll find out what these are for. They don't look like objective tokens. Come here, you. Battle traits. Battle trait. Wow, why are these all the same? Each. Huh, interesting. Aether Quartz Reserves. Okay, it looks like something that you build up. Interesting. Spellmasters, command traits, artifact powers, command traits. Really handy having these cards. You quickly choose which ones you want and then put the cards out to remind you exactly what it does. Right, behind here we have all the basics. And on this side we have the dice. Translucent dice in yellow with the little symbol as the 6. There's 20 of these, they said. And they are a lemon yellow. Look at those. Okay. Right, so right before we get to the book then, I don't know the names of all the units yet, so here is our first one. Alright. I really like this fellow. The fact that he's just enchanted armor. That's all that's left of him. It's really neat. Alright. Look at those nice horses. Let's have a look at that horse. The little horse even has a little braid in his hair. Oh look! A little bit of wheat on the base. That's cute. This horse. Is it the same? Oh well, it is the same horse. Okay. Oh, look at that armor. Look at those nice designs. A nice straight lance. That is going to be a beautiful model. Alright, we've got our footman. Wow, look at the length of that. That must be for another horse. Oh, that is enormous. Look at the length. Wow, those are super tall. Pretty. Pretty. More horse. The horse is a bit different. See, that one's braid is down there. And he is in a different pose. And also has some wheat. Yeah, 2 different wheats. A third wheat. Huh. Big E. A big E. Well, that's kind of cool. Maybe it was hard to tell which one was which. Yeah. B. B. So they still have their numbers. But they have these letters in there just to make absolutely certain you don't actually accidentally put the pieces on the wrong parts. Oh, look at that banner. Look at that banner. A griffin. Looks good. Everything looks really nice. Last one. Oh, what are you? A little piece of ruin. Maybe. I see a bunch of swords. But they all seem to be swords in their hilts. So I'm curious if there's only one way to assemble these guys. Well, let's find out. Alright. The Light of Eltharion, Venari Dawn Riders, and Venari Aurelian Wardens. And I've kept all the pieces separate, so I imagine we'll be able to see all of them in future all by themselves. At least they have the potential for that. Steedmaster 1, Steedmaster 2, so there's 2 different variants. I guess, yeah, it's just you could put the fellow and horse differently. Hmm. Okay. Nice. That's nice. I like that detail. Mm-hmm. 5 different heads and well, there's 5 different guys. Okay, and you can put whatever head on whatever fellow. Alright, so we've got a High Warden. Oh, and he's actually high. Literally. Alright, so the High Warden and then the other non-alpha dudes. Alright, so we've got 4 different heads, 10 different shields, but it's a 10-man group. Yeah, 10-man group. And yeah, 4 different heads for the non-warden guy, it seems. So we don't have any extra bits. Not in this set. So you're getting very specifically what you see here. The book. Oh, fancy. Gold. Ooh, shiny. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's gold along the edges too. I feel like I should probably be more careful opening this up. Oh my gosh. Look at that bling. Oh man, that's pretty awesome. Shiny. Shimmering. That's really pretty. Oh, it makes you really want to take care of your book. Right, so before I go over the book, I just want to go over the value of what's inside here. So first we're looking at a book that has at least $50 in value. Oh right, this is all in Canadian, so the current retail price on it is $220 Canadian. The book, I'm sure we should be able to agree on, is more than $50 worth. That is a beautiful book, a regular codex Battletome. A regular Battletome is $50 worth. This is a much higher quality book. So it's definitely more than the $50 value. But if it were the $50 value, let's just go from there. So more than 50. The 10-man group is probably about 50. Could be 45, could be 55. But it's about 50, so that's $100. But certainly more because of the value of the book. We've got the 5-man group, who is probably probably 60 or 70. If we lowball it, that's 60, so that's $160. And then the 1-man fellow is probably a $40 one. So that's 200 there in value. So the dice are probably another 30. And the cards are at least 20, probably 25. And then the tokens are extra beyond that. So we're looking at maybe about value of, you're getting an additional 30 or 40 in value minimum, and that beautiful book is worth more than that. So there's a savings. All right. Ooh. Nice battle going on there. The Realm Lords, the Lumineth called themselves, for their mastery over the lands is unrivaled. These numinous beings, the Aelven scions of the twin gods Tyrion and Teclis, have scintillating magic in their blood. They have dwelt long in Haish, the realm of light, where enlightenment and skill saturates the very air. The Lumineth have absorbed so much of this innate potential that, when at war, they glow with lambent power. Ooh, that would be pretty to paint. To face their war hosts in battle is to face a barrage of magic, a forest of blades, a crashing assault of elemental wrath. Ooh. Archmage Teclis, there he is, the Lumineth host to war. Archmage Teclis leads the Lumineth host to war, the brilliant light of Haish heralding a spectacular display of magic and dazzling skill that sends the enemy reeling. Lumineth versus Slanesh. Love all this scenery. We have the history of the elves of Haish. Oh, the art in full color, looking nice. Where they were in the Age of Myth, their rise of enlightenment, probably because of the creations of Teclis. The Twin Realms. Ooh. The toppling of the spires. The Elemental Pact. The 10 Paradises of Haish. Ah, nice. We'll have some lore about Haish itself here. Ooh. A map. Mount Avelenor. Or Avelenor? Avelenor. Rising high from the vertiginous peaks is the famed Mount Avelenor, patron of Emetrica. Oh, pretty. Tor Zillion, one of the many broken cities gracing the coasts. Tor Zillion fights bravely, but is still besieged by chaos invaders. The Pit of Cathartia. All that remains of Cathartia's chasm city is a pit of shadow and despair many miles wide, where sorrow itself is the only occupant. Well, that's not creepy at all. Ooh. A radiant nation. Oh, a war of the spirit. I will enjoy going through all of that. The Teclin Vanguard of Emetrica. Okay. Ranking system, the symmetry of war. Thalari, Aureli, Alethi, Indraliki, Ingra, Senui, Sethoi. These are all runes. Okay. What is this about? Though the Lumineth have many hundreds of runes, Since the reinvention, the Haisha Mensa has become favored above all. It represents the union of the four principal elements of Haish and the strength one can take from combining them all for the same cause. So that, the runic mandala, or the Haisha Mensa. A warrior or mage will typically call but one of these his patron. Only Tyrion and Teclis have souls strong enough to bond with spirits from each of the elements. Tyrion through the arts of war and Teclis through the artifice of magic. Okay, well let's have a look. Thalari represents the world above the clouds where light rules alone. Orieli, the rune of wind. Alethi, the rune of mountain. The rune of river. The rune of rescue and imprisonment. The rune of swiftness and accuracy. The rune of unity and loyalty. And the rune of pride, honor, and imperfection, representing the age of myth. Interesting. Interesting. And all of the different areas. Oh, and color. Look at that artwork for the different color schemes. So that looks like the box color scheme. That one's pretty. Oh, I like this purple red. That's pretty. Oh, Ilyatha. Also kind of nice. Blue, red, and gold. To shine across the ions. More. The history of the realm of light is a tragic one, I would say. I imagine all the realms are pretty tragic. Maybe with the exception of Aesir, where Sigmar was hidden, but everyone else probably. Ooh, Archmage Teclis and Selenar. History behind how they got together, I guess. As little more than an astral projection of his own soul, Teclis pleaded with Selenar for many days and nights. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. The light of Eltharion, appearing as a resplendent suit of armor that is entirely empty, but for a shimmering glow, the light of Eltharion is an echo of a warrior long dead. He fights with the speed of thought, and no normal blade can harm him. Oh, interesting. Ethereal, I assume? The shining companies of Haish. Disciples of the mountain. Ooh. Nice. Avatars of the Haitian peaks. Stoneheart King. A mountain. Oh, fighting corn this time. There he is. He looks rather gaunt for a god. But, you know, he's been alive for a long time, I suppose. Pretty. Oh, look at this one. Sphinx looks awesome. Oh, look at that, how they did those feathering. That looks fun. I like that. Oh, Avelinor, the Stoneheart King. The mountain comes to life? Well, that's kind of cool. Cenari Cathalar, the light of Etharion. different color schemes shown off. Oh, fighting Ossiarch Bone Reapers. These guys are everywhere. Alarith Stone Mage of Emetrica. True Stone in Seneschal of Elythia. All these, ooh, they get in big hammers, little hammers. Wonder how they'll compare to the hammers in Stormcast Eternals. Oh, fighting Skaven down there. So busy. Oh, fighting Gloomspite Kits. Oh, looks rough. Beneath the Knottle Peaks, an Alarith temple seeks to reclaim the mountain from the Gloomspite Kits. The greenskins have the elves surrounded, but in a burst of light, the tide of battle is soon to change. Look at that, and those fantastic mushrooms. The hosting. Okay, so here are all the ones that they're going to come out with. We've got 14 different models. Or units. Ah, how they painted them. Very nice for the Emetrica coloring. Pretty. Aether Quartz Gem. Well, that's pretty. Even basing. Nice. Alright. So, here we go. Power of the Lumineth. Alright, what happens when we get multiple Aether Quartz is what I'm assuming there's something happening. Alright. Each unit in a Lumineth Realm Lord's army starts the battle with 1 Aether Quartz reserve. Once per phase, you can say that one unit will use its Aether Quartz reserve to use one of the following Aether Quartz reserve abilities. However, if you do, subtract 1 from that unit's bravery characteristic for the rest of the battle. We got 4 Aether Quartz reserves, and there are there's 3. 3 different units. Yeah. 3 different units. On the other hand, you could probably break this. No, probably not. Well, you know, in case you lose one, I guess. Anyway, alright. Once per phase, you can say that one unit will use its Aether Quartz reserve to use one of the following abilities. However, if you do, subtract 1 from that unit's bravery characteristic for the rest of the battle. Let's just scoot forward to see what their bravery characteristic is in general, so we get an idea of how important that is. Bravery 10, bravery 10, bravery 7, bravery 7, bravery 6, bravery 6, bravery 8, bravery 10, bravery 10, okay. Heightened reflexes. You can say that a unit with this ability, when it's picked to be the target of an enemy you can say that a unit will use this ability when it's picked to be the target of an enemy attack. Shooting or a melee. I think if you do so, add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target that unit until the end of that phase. Okay, well that's command point. That's free of a command point plus 1 save rolls. That's nice. You can say that that a unit will use this ability when it is picked to shoot or fight. If you do so, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. Also nice. Until the end of that phase. Magical boost. You can say that unit will use this ability after it has attempted to cast a spell, but before any unbinding rolls are made for that spell. If you do so, you can either add 1 to the casting roll or re-roll that casting roll. Quite nice, and I hear there's going to be a lot of magic around, so maybe you would use that more often than not. On the other hand, I mean, it's nice that anyone has the ability that would all, I think all of these are useful all the time. So cool. Magical insight. You can say that a unit with this ability at the start of your hero phase. You can say a unit will use this ability at the start of your hero phase. If you do so, that unit can attempt to cast 1 extra spell in that phase. Well, I do like that. 1 extra spell sounds nice. I wonder what their spells are. Absorb Despair. Okay, so Aether Quartz Reserve. And each unit starts with 1. Doesn't say that they get them back, they start with 1. So they may only have this once, but still it's neat. If a friendly unit uses its Aether Quartz Reserve while it is wholly within 18 inches of any friendly Cathalars, you can pick one of the Cathalars within 18 inches of that unit and say that they will absorb the negative energy. A Cathalar cannot absorb negative energy more than once per phase. If a Cathalar absorbs the negative energy from a unit, do not subtract 1 from that unit's bravery. Instead, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of that Cathalar. If you do so, subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of that enemy unit for the rest of the battle. The same enemy unit cannot be affected by this ability more than once per battle. Well, that is quite neat. And it's okay, so it's wholly within the Cathalar and the enemy is only within, so wholly within for the unit. They have to stay wholly within 18 inches of the Cathalar, but the Cathalar can be not necessarily wholly within 18 inches of the enemy unit chosen. 18 inches is a fair distance, so that could regularly be used. So, cool. Lightning reactions. During the combat phase, when it is your turn to pick a unit to fight, you can pick 2 eligible units instead of 1. Neat. If you do so, each of those units can fight one after the other in the order of your choice. Huh. That's nasty. Designer's note. This ability applies to units that fight during the combat phase. Therefore, it cannot be used for units that fight at the start or the end of the combat phase, or for units that fight in any phase other than the combat phase. So basically, you don't stack it with other special combat-y abilities. Just that. Cool. Lumineth Great Nations. When you choose a Lumineth Realm Lord's army, you can give it a Great Nation, as we expected. Oh, that's 4. Huh. All Lumineth Realm Lords gain that keyword, and if a model already has a Great Nation keyword on its key Warscroll, it cannot gain another one, as one would expect. So, in Metrica is Ciar, Elathia, and Zetric. Venari warriors often fight in a tight grouping, so close that their shoulders or stirrups are almost touching. This densely packed formation sacrifices a little fluidity, but combines the bright light of each numinous soul into a dazzling brilliance that befuddles the enemies. So let's just have a look at Venari. Aelven. Or Venari. Okay, so yes, they've got Venari in their keywords. Venari. Sinari. You are someone special. You. Okay, so Sinari, Venari, and Alaris. Got it. After a Venari unit is set up, if the base of each model in the unit is touching the bases of 2 other models from the same unit, then that unit becomes a Shining Company. That unit remains a Shining Company until, after finishing move, the base of each model in the unit is no longer touching the bases of 2 or more other models from the same unit, or until after removing a slain model from the unit, the bases of any remaining models in the unit are not touching the bases of 2 or more other models from the same unit. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target a Shining Company. However, a Shining Company cannot run or charge, and models in that unit can only move 1 inch when they pile in. Okay, and they can only move 1 inch when they pile in, instead of their normal 3. Got it. Cool. So, since they are, I'm pretty sure, melee units, melee. Oh, these ones have bows. Okay, cool. And melee. Interesting. In that case, the bows seem to be great. On the other hand, cannot run or charge. I guess you could charge on in. However, a Shining Company cannot run or charge until after finishing a move, so you have to separate. It definitely becomes a Shining Company. It remains a company. Okay, so it is. If it is a Shining Company, you have to separate them from being a Shining Company before doing a charge. But that should be pretty straightforward, because you would move, separating them, and then charge, and then returning them to the Shining Company, so they get their -1 from hit rolls again. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Or they are Sinari. Command traits they have. Once in, Cathalar generals only. Once in each of your hero phases, you can reroll 1 failed casting roll for this general. Nice. This general knows 1 extra spell from the lore of Haish. Cool. And if this general is part of your army and on the battlefield at the start of your hero phase, roll the dice on a 4+, you receive 1 extra command point. Neat. Guess kind of. I mean, I like the idea of 1 extra cast spell, but reroll 1 failed casting roll would be really nasty if there's a 1 spell that you like over all the other ones. So that's cool. General in particular, so Cathalar General. After armies have been set up, but before the first battle round begins, and at the start of any of your hero phases, you can pick any number of friendly Alarith units and say they are adopting the mountain stance. If you do so until your next hero phase, if the weapon used for an attack that targets an Alarith unit in the mountain stance has Rend characteristic of -1, change the Rend to nothing, basically. That's quite nasty. After the army has been set up before the first round battle begins, at the start of any of your hero phases, you can pick any number of friendly Alarith units and adopt the mountain stance. If you do so until your next hero phase is the weapon used for an attack that targets an Alarith unit. So that's... I haven't given a restriction into that yet. Why would you do the mountain phase? Why would you not ever do the mountain stance? At the end of each combat phase, you can pick one enemy within 1 inch of each friendly Alarith unit. You cannot pick the same enemy units more than once in the same phase. After you pick each unit, your opponent must move that unit 2 inches, and that unit must finish that move more than 1 inch from any Alarith units from your army if it is possible for it to do so. Well, that's kind of neat. Once those enemy units have been forced to move, any friendly Alarith units that are within 3 inches of any enemy units can make a 1 inch pile-in move. Okay, at the end of each combat phase, you can push them away 2 inches, and that unit must finish that move more than 1 inch from any Alarith units, if possible to do so. Within 3 inches of any can pile in. Well, that's interesting. You can push the ones out of combat that you don't want, move away from them entirely with the pile-in move. Well, 1 inch pile-in move. 2 inches away. Not necessarily, though. But it completely ruins their ability to attack. So they have to pile in again, but they pile in and now they could be 3 inches away. That's interesting. It's interesting. I wonder how that will be used. I'm gonna skip the command traits and artifacts of power as they're bonuses. Enduring, add 3 to the general's wound characteristic. That could be neat. Lots of extra spells. Add 1 to the bravery characteristic of friendly realms on units while they are wholly within 12 inches of the general. In addition, subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of enemy units while they are within 18 inches of this general. So they negate or embellish the effect that all of the Lumineth have. That's neat. Spell lore. Lore of Haish, Teclis, Light of Atharian, Calathars, and Vanari wizards only. Teclis and Alarith wizards only. Okay. Speed of Haish. Casting value of 5. Pick 1 friendly Lumineth Realmlords unit wholly within 18 inches. Double the move characteristic until your next hero phase. Cool. That could be quite nasty. And particularly for those horse riding ones. Double the move characteristic. That could be incredibly nasty. And it could be anyone. Nice. Casting value of 5 with that ability to re-roll failed spell. Woo. Solar Flare. Casting value of 8. Pick a white on the battlefield within 10 inches and visible. If there's an endless spell at that point, it is dispelled. Cool. And if there is a unit at that point, roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in that unit. For each 6+, this unit suffers 1 mortal wound. In addition, until your next hero phase, subtract 2 from casting, dispelling, and unbinding for wizards within 12 inches of that point, including your own. Solar Flare, neat. Lambent Light has casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster and visible to them. Until your next hero phase, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons that target that unit. That could be really nasty too. Very nasty. I saw bows. that does require someone to be within 18 inches of them, but only the caster, not the missile weapon people. Ethereal Blessing, casting value of 6. Pick one friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's unit wholly within 18 inches until your next phase. Until your next hero phase, ignore modifiers, positive or negative, when making saving rolls for attacks that target that unit. So basically, forget about Rend. For attacks that target that unit. It's also could be quite nasty. Total Eclipse has a casting value of 8. If successfully cast until your next hero phase, your opponent must spend 2 command points to use a command ability instead of 1. Well, I don't know about that one. That has a casting value of 8. I mean, yes, you could possibly have a reroll. I guess. I mean, really depends on what your opponent really likes to use. Protection of Heish has a casting value of 8 again. Okay. Do one of these artifacts have... I gotta check it out. The spell, you can reroll a dice. Each time the bearer is affected by a spell or endless spell, you can reroll a dice on a 4+, ignore this. Cool, and add 1 to the number of mortal wounds inflicted by Arcane Bolt. Neat. Okay, so as far as I can tell, yet you get extra spells, but you do not get to lower the casting value. Because 8 is pretty high for a casting value. Until your next hero phase, roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly unit within 9 inches of the caster. On a 5+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. This spell cannot be cast in the same hero as Protection of Teclis, which is, I assume... Oh, it must be something that Teclis does. Okay, that is pretty cool. Again though, casting value of 8. But hey, they can reroll it. Still, casting value of 8. Unyielding Calm, casting value of 4. Well, that's doable. If successfully cast, pick one friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's unit wholly within 18 inches of the caster until your next hero phase. Do not take battle shocks tests for that unit. Okay. So, saves you a command point. Because there's a command point that... there's a command that you can do that with. So, saves you a command point, I guess. Extra spell. Alarith. And this is Alarith Wizard. So none of these wizards have the ability to re-roll one failed casting roll. That's the Cathalar only, unless the Cathalar is an Alarith Wizard. Cathalar. Casanari. Cathalar. Nope, nope. 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 No. Cathalar? No. Okay. So, none of these can be rerolled if you fail them. Something to note. Crippling Vertigo, 6. Pick one enemy unit wholly within 18 inches of the caster invisible to them until your next hero phase. Roll 2d6 before that unit makes a normal move, a charge move, or a pile-in move. If the roll is greater than that unit's bravery characteristic, it cannot make that move. Until your next hero phase, roll 2d6 before that unit makes a normal move, a charge move, or a pile-in move. If the roll is greater than that unit's bravery characteristic, it cannot make that move. That's pretty nasty. That could really mess up melee. And there's a lot of melee units in Age of Sigmar, so that could really mess someone up. But again, you have to be wholly within 18 inches of the caster for it to have an effect. So these guys really want to be in like mid-range, really up close, but not too close. Voice of the Mountains has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast until the end of their turn, subtract 2 from the bravery characteristic of enemy units. Then until your next hero phase, subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of enemy units instead. So they combine these two because they do have the ability of more than one spell over in their command traits. So that could be a nasty combination. Living Fissure, 6. If successfully cast, pick 1 point on the battlefield within 9 inches of the caster, and that is visible to them, and draw an imaginary straight line 1 millimeter wide between that point and the closest part of the caster's base. Roll a dice for each unit that has that model. Roll a dice for each unit that has models passed across by this line on a 2+. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Gee, that's pretty nasty. Now, it's only within 9 inches, so you're probably only going to get 1 unit. You may be lucky enough to get 2. And on 2+, suffer D3 mortal wounds. Casting value of 6. So, in comparison of Arcane Bolt, which is a casting value of 5 and an 18-inch range, I would prefer the Arcane Bolt. Well, Arcane Bolt is 1 mortal wound unless you get 10 or higher, and then it would be D3 mortal wounds. So, I mean, if there are 2 units, then why not choose this? But if there's 1 unit, roll a dice for each unit. Pass on a 2+, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Yeah, okay. If there's only 1 unit, I'd still, I guess, casting value of 6 versus casting value of 5. I guess I'd still use this one if they're within 9 inches. To possibly get more wounds. On the other hand, it'd be pretty sad if you got a 1. Entomb. Casting value of 7. 1 enemy model within 18 inches. Roll a dice. If the roll is greater than the model's wound characteristic, that model is slain. Well, that's cool. If the roll is 6, but is not greater than that model's wound characteristic, that model suffers D6 mortal wounds. That's a cool thing, within 18 inches. So, on greater than 1, so on a single little dude, oh, you get to specifically, oh, that's cool, you get to specifically choose out models. So you could take out their key little fellow within the unit, you know, the one that buffs up the rest of them. So if it's a little 1-wounder unit, as long as you don't get a 1, that model is slain. Like, for example, in my Tree Revenants, there's one little dude in the 5 who allows them to teleport around. You take him out, they can't teleport. And he's only got 1 wound, so you just don't want to get a 1. Casting value of 7. Still, probably worth a shot. And then, if the roll is 6 but not greater, I don't think I'd ever choose to do this on anyone who has high wound count in the hopes of getting a 6. I think there's more useful things, but anything that's lower than that, definitely 1 wound important guy or 2 wound important guy, or maybe even 3 wound really important guy. I'd give it a shot. What do you think? Assault of Stone. Assault of Stone has a casting value of 8. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit wholly within 24 inches of the caster and visible to them, and roll a number of dice equal to the casting roll. For each roll that is less than that unit's save characteristic, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Each roll is less than. Cool. Pick one enemy unit wholly within 24 inches. Roll a number of dice equal to the casting roll. Cool. It's only going to succeed on an 8 or more anyway, so for each roll that is less than that unit's save characteristic, which is generally 4+ or 5+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Rolls with 1 or 2 always fail to inflict a mortal wound on the target. A save characteristic of negative counts as a 6 for the purposes of this roll. 8. That's pretty cool. So minimum 8. Say you succeed on 9. Well, you're gonna fail a bunch. Okay, but say you succeed on a 9, and you're targeting one that is a 5+. Because you probably wouldn't want to target ones that are not. Then you're rolling 9 dice, 5+. You probably get 4 mortal wounds. Casting value of 8. It's pretty hard. I wonder if any of these wizards get bonuses to their casting roll, or maybe if one of the endless spells gets bonuses. Oh, I suppose there's an endless spell that anyone can use that could get bonus to the casting rolls. They might want to make use of it. Mountain Realm. Great nation of Emetrica, great nation of Isar, great nation of Ilethia, and great nation of Zatric. And they've got the pictures again to give you reference on what their color scheme is. I like all these picture references that you don't have to search for their color scheme. The Enduring as Rock battle trait changes the Ren characteristic for an attack that targets an Emetrica Alarith unit into this stance to, yeah, so the Alarith ability that had the mountain stats was a run -1 was negative, but now it's run -1 or 2. So if you're going with Alarith unit, this seems like a pretty nasty. You're basically ignoring Rend, so it's kind of like you're all ethereal, because there's not that often that you're gonna get a Ren -3 or 4, only in special situations. So nice. You can use this command ability at the end of the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Alarith unit that has just forced an enemy to move with the Tectonic Force battle trait the first time in that phase, and that is wholly within 18 inches of a hero, of one of your heroes. You can use the Tectonic battle trait for a second time by picking one other enemy unit within 1 inch of that friendly unit. Oh, that could be pretty techy. Maybe particularly, you know where I would use it the most? I think when securing objectives. That could get really annoying for the opponent if you're shoving away all your guys away from the objective. It'd be kind of neat. Command trait, Almighty Blow. When this general fights, instead of piling in and attacking, you can say they will unleash a single mighty blow. If you do so, pick one enemy unit within 1 inch and roll a dice. On a 2+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Yeah, I don't take the time to fight. I just 2+, you suffer D3 mortal wounds. Yeah, and it says you must have this command trait instead of one of the other ones. The Emetrica hero to receive an artifact of power must be given the mountain's gift. So until you use battalions to get more artifacts of power, you must use this one if you choose this group as your nation. Pick one of the bear's melee weapons once per phase. You can add 1 to the damage inflicted by one attack made with that weapon. In addition, roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the bearer. On a 6, that wound or mortal wound is negated. In addition, each time the bearer is affected by a spell or endless spell, you can roll a dice on a 5+, ignore the effects of that spell on the bearer. Quite nasty, and it seems like their heroes are rather important based on the spells. They're really good at buffing up stuff, so this artifact really seems to suit the style of play nicely. Sometimes artifacts really don't. This one really seems to suit the style of play, so that's cool. Great Nation of CR. CR units start the battle with 2 Aether Quartz Nerd reserves instead of 1, so that could be really neat. If you recall, there's 4 different abilities that they could use, and they were nice abilities. Oh, right. Did they have... You can say you can do so. That unit can attempt to cast 1 extra spell that phase, right? You can say that the unit with this ability, after attempting to cast, you can either add 1 to that casting roll. Oh, I forgot that's what it was. So all those casting rolls of 8 are really casting rolls of 7. So that's quite neat. And the casting roll of 3, you're gonna get it. Unless you're dreadfully unlucky. You can use this command ability when a friendly CR unit could use an Aether Quartz reserve ability, even if any friendly CR units have already done so in that turn. If you do, pick 1 friendly CR unit that has any Aether Quartz reserves and is wholly within 18 inches of a hero. That unit can use 1 of its core reserves to use that Aether Quartz reserve ability, so you could do it twice. Which is pretty nasty, this command ability. So for a command point, you can do, and I assume they stack, add 1 to hit rolls, add 1 to save rolls, add 1 to the unbinding, get an extra spell. I'm assuming they stack. Otherwise, actually, they must stack, otherwise it would be like completely useless. So, must stack. No, maybe I read that wrong. Can only 1 person use it? Once per phase, you can say that 1 unit will use its Aether Quartz reserve to use 1. So, no, you can't do it twice. You can just get someone else to do it. Got it. No stacking. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero within 6 inches of this general. That enemy hero can only target this general in that phase. 6 inches. Okay. In addition, you can add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target that enemy hero in that phase. Well, that's kind of nasty. Make your general a big beefy guy and off you go. Pick 1 of the bearer's melee weapons. An unmodified hit roll of 3+ for an attack made by that weapon always hits its target. Cool! An unmodified wound roll of 3+ for an attack made by that weapon is always successful. An unmodified save roll of 3 or less for an attack made by that weapon always fails. Well, that's pretty awesome. Anything with a 3+ or a 2+, no matter what, fails. Oh, I like that. I like that. It's really high. Wow, this run really is well, the heroes are anyway. Other heroes. Anti-enemy heroes. Generally the only ones with a save roll of 3+ or more anyway. On the other hand, it's not limited to that either. Cool. Alright. Great Nation of Iliatha. It says, add 2 to the bravery characteristic of Iliatha Venari and Iliatha Elementeer units. After an friendly... Oh. Cool. It negates, really, the worry about their quartz, their Aether Quartz reduction in bravery. And +1. After a friendly Iliatha Venari unit uses a command ability, you can pick one other friendly Iliatha unit within 3 inches of that unit. If you do so, that other unit can also use that command ability without spending any command points. You can only use this ability once per phase. Very neat. You can use this command ability in your shooting phase or in the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Iliatha Venari unit with 2 or more models. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for that unit. Cool, and it's one of the ones that you could do 2 units at the same time. Very specific Venari. No, never mind. It's all the... No, yes. Very specific. It is a Venari Iliatha. A Venari Lumineth that does this. Okay. Iliari hero must be given this one. Oh, command ability. Yeah, this one's missing a command trait for some reason. One wonders if it's a mistake, and yet they definitely put that in there to replace the spot. So I guess it isn't. Interesting, but then you get to use... I guess they really want you to go back to the other ones. Frees you up anyway. Kinda neat. Artifact of Power. The first Iliari hero, yes, must receive this artifact of power, which is the first time the bearer is slain. Oh my goodness, someone's coming back. Before removing them from the battlefield, roll a dice. On a 1 to 3, the bearer is slain. On a 4 to 6, the bearer is not slain. All wounds allocated to them are healed, and any wounds that currently remain to be on them are negated. Oh gosh. Oh, can you imagine? An Iliatha hero. Okay. Are you Iliatha? You're Emetrica, so you can't be Iliatha. So, no 14 wound fellow is coming back. Are you? Yep, you're a Laris. Monster. Ooh. Emetrica. But you are not restricted, so maybe a 12 wound fellow can come back. Quite nasty. Nasty. You're not a hero, though. No, you're not a hero. Never mind. The Great Nation of Zatric. Add 1 to the first casting, dispelling, or unbinding roll you make for each friendly Zatric wizard in each hero phase. In addition, each Zatric wizard hero knows 1 extra spell from the appropriate spell lore. Right. The 2 variants of wizards, of course. That makes all those 8 casting costs and 7 casting costs really straightforward. Really possible. Well, really more possible. Fast learner. This general can attempt... Alright, this general must take the command... a Zatric wizard general must have this command trait. This general can attempt to unbind 1 extra spell in the enemy hero phase. In addition, the second time that this general attempts to unbind a spell in the same enemy hero phase, you can reroll the unbinding roll. So nasty. Artifact of Power. The first Zatric hero needs to take it. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the bearer. Add 2 to the roll if Teclis is part of your army and on the battlefield. On a 6+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. So to the bearer, or 4+ if Teclis is there. That's cool. We'll see how much Teclis costs and see how feasible it is to have him always there. A Zatric wizard, no an additional spell. Nice. Overwhelming heat. Overwhelming heat has a casting value of 7. Or 6 if it's your first casting roll. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit wholly within 24 inches of the caster invisible to them. Have the movement characteristic. Oh, that's nasty. Then roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or greater than that unit's save characteristic, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Wow, that is so nasty. So, first off... Okay, so first off, you cast that, so it has a casting roll of 6. 24 inches. Wholly within 24 inches, but basically 24 inches. You have the movement characteristic of that unit until your next hero phase. On equal or greater to that unit's save characteristic, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So it becomes easier easier on better save units, so generally heroes and big guys. Suffer D3 mortal wounds. That could really take out someone. Have the movement phase. Oh, it's pretty nasty for something that wants to get in combat, so you start using that right away. So we can't get anywhere. And, oh my goodness, against objectives, where hero-based objectives specifically, 24 inches away, that could really mess someone up. Super nasty. Cool. Alright, we've got a battle plan. We've got 2 battle plans. Path to Glory. Lumineth Warband Tables. Oh, yes, that's the Path to Glory stuff. The Warscrolls. Let's just do, I won't tell you what you need in them. I'm just gonna quickly read the 4 different abilities. This one requires This one requires the other battalions. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly unit from this battalion while it is wholly within its own territory. On a 6, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Quite nasty. At the start of the combat phase, any friendly Stone Guard units from this battalion that are wholly within 12 inches of a friendly hero from the same battalion can turn their skin to stone until the end of that phase, and that's the start of the combat phase. You can reroll save rolls for attacks that target a unit that has turned its skin to stone, but models with their skin turned to stone can only move 1 when they pile in. It's good though. The Kurnoth Hunters basically have that same ability, and I find it very useful. But they don't have the restriction that they have to be within 12 inches of a friendly hero, but sounds like the heroes do a lot in this, so just keep your hero close by. Looks quite nasty. And it's Stone Guard units. Alright, you can reroll save rolls of 1 for attacks that target a friendly unit from this battalion while it is within 3 inches of any other friendly units from the same battalion. Reroll save rolls of 1. Also nice. And you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by a friendly unit from this battalion that has made a charge move in the same turn. Also nice. So it makes nice reasons to get a battalion to get an additional artifact as well. And command point. No, just our, yeah. Archmage Teclis. Okay, so if we're gonna look at that, we also have to look at how much he costs. Alright. Ah, their allies are the Ideneth Deepkin. Well, that's neat. Teclis. 660 points. Oh, and the Light of Eltharion is a unique miniature. So you only want one. And he's unique, so there's 3 uniques. 660 points. Alright, so probably 1,500 and above. Or 1,000 just for fun. Okay, what in the world does a 660 miniature do? He is more expensive than Gotrek Gurnison. Alright, his move is 12 inches initially, all the way down to 4. He's got 16 wounds, 10 bravery, 4+ save. I'm surprised his save is only 4+, actually. Lunar Staff, 18 inches, 1 attack, 2+ to hit, 2+ to wound, Ren -3, d6 damage. That will generally hit and go right on through. And 2+2+, that's good. Range 18, so that will probably hit. That's good. Sword of Teclis, 1 inch range, 2 attacks, 4+ to hit. Why so 4+? 2+ to wound, Ren -3, d3 damage. Also good. Only 2 attacks for 4+ though. Though, right, there's a bunch of ways to... There's some ways, anyway, to... he is a Realm Lord, so he'd have that little power that could get him to... That little Aether Quartz. That could get him to re-roll. Come back to the front. Each... if you do so, add 1 to save rolls. No, add 1 to hit rolls. There it is. So he could use it to add 1 to hit rolls. Is it melee? Shoot or fight. Hit rolls to attacks. Okay. Only for that phase. So he could choose that one to be 1+ to hit if you really wanted to deal 1 to 6 damage. Or he could choose this one and it's 2 attacks. 4+ to hit, 2+ to wound, Ren -3, d3 damage. It's good. Moonbright Talons is initially... Ooh, that's nice. 6, 3+, 3+, Ren -2, 2 damage each. Yeah, if I was gonna do my little quartz thing. Each unit, so that does include him. My little quartz thing, I'd probably do it right here. +1 to hit rolls? Yep. Right here. So 3+ to hit and 2+ to hit. That could be a lot of damage. Alright, is a named character. He has his Sword of Teclis and the Lunar Staff, and he carries the discs of the Elementary. Selenor is accompanied by... Teclis is accompanied by Selenor, the Spirit of Haish, who attacks with the Moonbright Talons. And he's considered a mount. And he can fly. Good. You can get him with his movement of 12. You can get him across the board without worrying about terrain. At the start of your hero phase, you must say if this model will cast 1 spell, 2 spells, or up to 4 spells. Interesting. If this model will cast 1 spell, when it attempts to cast that spell, it is automatically cast. Do not roll 2d6, and it cannot be unbound. Well, interesting. That is incredibly nasty. Whatever spell you want cannot be unbound. I'm not going to go back to the spells, but maybe you should go back to the spells and reread what are going to be automatically happening. On the other end, he's 660 points. If this model will cast 2 spells, when it attempts to cast those spells, each is automatically cast with a casting roll of 12. That cannot be modified. Do not roll 2. Enemy wizards cannot attempt... Sorry, enemy wizards can attempt to unbind these spells. Enemy wizards can attempt to unbind these spells, but you know what? It has a casting roll of 12. So good luck. Good luck, guys. Gonna have to use a special thing to unbind that one, and it's 2 of them. Oh, that's so nasty. That is so nasty. And this could be endless spells. Just there you go. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Blah. If this model will cast up to 4 spells, when it attempts to cast those spells, each is automatically cast with a casting roll of 10 that cannot be modified. Enemy wizards can attempt to unbind these spells. Ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Holy smokes. Aura of Selenar. Add 1 to the casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for friendly Lumineth Realm Lords units within range of this model's Aura of Selenar ability. The range of the Aura of Selenar ability is shown on the damage table. Starts off at 16 inches. Was not bad at all. Oh my gosh, this is vicious. 1 to casting roll. So another way to bring those 8 casting cost spells down to 7. And one of them would bring it down to 6. Very cool. Oh, so nasty. Okay. Dis of the Elementary. Whew. So, Teclis is living up to his name as a god, I think, yeah. And a master wizard. Pretty cool. In your hero phase, in addition to casting 1, 2, or up to 4 spells, what? What do you mean in addition? What? That wasn't enough. This model can automatically dispel 1 endless spell. In the enemy hero phase, this model can automatically unbind 1 enemy spell. Wow. Oh, that's so nasty. That could just entirely mess up anything your opponent is doing. In your hero phase, can automatically unbind 1 spell. Just... oh, wow. That just turns off. I mean, really, doesn't it? It just turns it off. Quickly you learn what their most important spell is, and it's just turned off. Oh, gosh. Okay, so he's 4+ save, because you've got to find some way to kill him. So that there's still hope. I mean, for spell, no, yeah. So there's hope. 4+ is for hope. Okay. Seeing Stone of Selenar. Each time a friendly unit within range of this model's Aura of Selenar ability is affected by an endless spell or a spell cast by an enemy wizard, you can roll a dice. On a 4+, ignore the effects of that spell or endless spell on that unit, in case they get their magic spell right on through. Maybe it's Teclis versus Teclis. On a 4+, you just ignore it. Wonderful. Then pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of that unit. That enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. The range of the Aura Selenar ability for this model is shown. Yes, up there. Oh my gosh, jeez. So, unsurprisingly, he's a wizard. The number of spells that he can cast is determined by the Archmage ability on the left. Right, yeah. He can attempt to unbind any number of spells. What? He can attempt to unbind any number of spells in the enemy hero phase. Jeez. He knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, Protection of Teclis, and Storm of Searing White Light spells. Well. Okay, so he doesn't know any of the other spells. So, Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and these 2. Protection of Teclis has a casting value of 10. Irrelevant. If successfully cast until your next hero phase, Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly unit wholly within 18 inches of him. On a 5+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. This spell cannot be cast in the same hero phase as Protection of. Heish. No problem. He just casts this with absolute certainty. So, assume when he's on the battlefield, your units negate wounds on 5+. Well, it's only wholly within 18 inches. But he's a big guy. Just keep him in the middle. He can take it. He can't have artifacts because he's named. Something to keep in mind, I guess. But, yeah. Jeez. Okay. Got Mystic. He can have Mystic Shield over himself. Storm of Searing White Light has a casting value of 10. Irrelevant. If successfully cast, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 18 inches. If the caster invisible to them on 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 4, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 5+, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. Lovely. Fun times. So, depending on who you were against, I guess, I'll probably just go with that. Unless you had enemy wizards that could automatically unbind spells, and then I'd choose the important one perhaps, but otherwise I'd go with that. And then if there's no wizards around, or they aren't like very good wizards, maybe they're... No, I don't think there was a way to reduce their ability. Yeah. Okay, so if they're not very good wizards, then you just do this, and just all the time, all that damage. Alright, I get 660 points. I get it now. Light of Etherion. You could only have one of them in your army, I am assuming, because he's a named character. The Light of Etherium, 220 points. Unique. Alright. He is armed with a Fang Sword of Etherion and the Selenari Blade, and he wears Spirit Armor. So he has 7 wounds, 6 inches, 10 bravery, 3+ save. Fang Sword of Etherion, 4 attacks, 2+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -3, d3 damage. Vicious. Selenari Blade, 2 attacks. He's not done. 2+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, d3 damage. Stick him close to Archmage Teclis. No, he's got that ability to do it as well. You get him in combat, throw off his ether quartz, and he's gonna hit on 1+. 6 times. 3+ to wound. Wonderful. Vicious little fellow. How much he was? 220. Okay. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy hero within 3 inches of this model. If you do so, add 1 to the damage inflicted by successful attacks made with this model's Selenari Blade that target that hero in that phase. Cool. Anti-hero. His movement is 6 inches. Fang Sword of... Oh, but you can double the movement. With some other wizard, you can double the movement. Cool. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with this model's Fang Sword of... he's armed with... Yeah, he's armed with both. Add 1 to wound rolls made with this model's Fang Sword of Etherion if this model made a charge move in the same turn, so 2+2+ at that point. Run -3 d3 damage each. So nasty. In addition, if the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with this sword is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. It's a nice little thing. It's a nice little hero. Nice and vicious. In your shooting phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the model that is visible to them and roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 4, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 5+, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds in your shooting phase. Cool. So, like a shooting, but on 1+. Yeah, it's like a 2+ shooting that you don't have to worry about rolling wound rolls for. Very nasty. Super nasty. Spirit armor. Ignore modifiers, positive or negative, when making save rolls for attacks that target this model. Yep. In addition, have the damage inflicted by attacks made with missile weapons or melee weapons that target this model. Rounding up. Crow, because, you know, he's armor. And he's got 7 wounds. So it's like he has 14 wounds. Other than mortal wounds. Supreme Source Matter. Ignore negative modifiers when making hit rolls for attacks made by this model. In addition, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by this model is 6, that attack scores 2 hits on the target instead of 1. Make a wound and save roll for each hit. Wow, lovely. Wonderful. So much damage for one little fella. Gee. Command ability. You can use this command ability at the start of the battle shock phase. If you do so, pick one friendly model with this command ability. Until the end of the phase, all friendly Lumineth Realm Lords units wholly within 12 inches are treated as having a bravery characteristic of 10. Okay. That's good. Alright. Cenari Cathalar. It has 5 wounds, 6-inch movement, 5+ save, 7 bravery. Melee weapons are 1 attack, 4+ to hit, 2+ to wound, no rend, d3 damage. So, not particularly good at combat. How much do you cost? Cenari Cathalar. Very important piece. Cathalar has 140 leader. And it is a hero, wizard, and a Cathalar. So, at the start of the battle shock phase, you can pick one friendly Lumineth Realm Lords unit wholly within 18 inches of this model and roll a dice. On a 2+, do not take a battle shock test for that unit. In addition, if any models from that unit were slain during that turn, you can pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of this model that has to take a battle shock test. In that, if you do so, add the number of models from that friendly unit that were slain during that turn to the modified battle shock roll for that enemy unit. 2+, don't take a battle shock test, and in addition, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches that has to take a battle shock, and you add all of your lost guys to theirs. That's pretty nasty. It looks like you won't be losing many models at all in the Lumineth, the way it seems to be going. This model is a wizard. It can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase, unless it has any of the other abilities that give extra. It knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Darkness of the Soul spells. Darkness of the Soul has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster and visible to them. Until your next hero phase, roll 2d6 each time that unit makes a normal move, makes a charge move, shoots, or fights. Make the roll before the action is carried out. Casting value, successfully cast, okay. Make the roll before the action is carried out. If the roll is greater than the unit's bravery characteristic, that unit cannot perform that action in that phase. Right, and the Cathalar can reduce that unit's bravery as well. And depending on who you choose, they might be able to reduce the bravery even further. Somewhere in the other ones, I'm pretty certain you could reduce the bravery even further. That unit cannot perform that action in that phase. That is terrible. Casting value of 7, but it looks like it should be straightforward to reduce the casting value or re-roll the casting value. And they can't make a normal move or a charge move, shoots or fights. Until your next hero phase, roll a 2d6 each time that unit makes a normal move, makes a charge move, shoots or fights. Make the roll before the action is carried out, and it just negate it. Oh my gosh, that is nasty. Well, that makes this model rather terrible. I mean, good, but horrific for 140 points. So this is a nice big target. I don't see anything stipulating that that more than one Cathar can't put this Darkness of Soul on it. So does that mean you can stack different Darknesses of Soul spells from other people, other Cathalars? That would be pretty terrible. I'm assuming only one is supposed to go on there, but I don't know. Watch out for that lady. Very important piece. Must slay her. Venari Dawn Riders. Movement 14 inches, which is very nice. Saving on a 4+. Bravery initially of 7, 2 wounds each. A unit of Venari Dawn Riders has any number of models, each armed with a sun metal lance. Mount. Steeds attack with their dashing hooves. One model in this unit can be a Steed Master. A Steed Master is armed with a sun metal lance and a Guardian Sword, so an additional weapon. One in every 5 models in this unit can be a Standard Bearer. You can re-roll Battle Shock tests for units that include any Standard Bearers. Yeah, these guys are just not going to be running from combat, it seems. Deathly Furrows. At the start of the combat phase, you can say that this unit will use its Deathly Furrows ability. If you do so in that phase, you can either add 1 to the attack's characteristic of this unit's melee weapons, but it can only target units that have a wounds characteristic of 1 or 2 and do not have a mount. Or you can add 2 to the attack's characteristic of this unit's melee weapons, but it can only target units that have wounds characteristic of 1 and do not have a mount. Okay, so for low wound characteristic models, you get extra attacks. Cool. Yes. Yep. Okay. Lances of the Dawn. If this unit made a charge move in the same turn, as one would expect with lances, add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made with this unit's Sun Metal Lance and improve the Ren characteristic by 1. So the Sun Metal Lance is normally 1 attack, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, no Ren 1 damage, but when charging it will be 3+, 3+, Ren -1, 1. And there are 5 of them doing that. Sun Metal Weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a Sun Metal Lance is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. Cool. Yep. That's good. Gets around rend. Or saving throws. And so in addition to the lances, you've got dashing hooves. That's 2 attacks. Or 10 attacks for the whole 5 group. 4+ to hit, 4+ to wound, 1 damage. You know, regular old hoof attacks. Guardian Sword, 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, Ren -1, 1 damage. Okay. The Steed Master of this unit is a wizard. While this unit has 3 or more models, they can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. They know the Power of Haish spell. Okay. Power of Haish. Power of Haish has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast until your next hero's phase, the Sun Metal Weapons ability for the caster and or the unit they are part of causes mortal wounds to be inflicted, that one, on a 5+ instead of a 6+. So casting value of 6, 5+ instead of 6. Could deal a fair bit of mortal wounds. Well, not necessarily a fair bit. Oh, but there's something that gives extra attacks, right? Yeah, add 1 to the attacks on 1 to 2, or against little dudes like ghosts or dryads or any little 1 wound weapons, add 2 to the attacks. So instead of 5 attacks altogether for a 5-man unit, you're dealing 15 attacks that on 5s and 6s deal mortal wounds. They just get right in there. Unmodified hit roll. Yeah, so it's not a wound roll, it's unmodified hit roll. Oh, that's pretty nasty. Any number of Lumineth Realm Lords wizards can attempt to cast Power of Haish in the same hero phase. Good. So you can do it all in your various units. And 1 model in this unit. Steedmaster. Yeah, 1 model. So even if you have a 10-man group, you still only get 1 model per unit, which means you'd want to keep these guys at 5-man units in multitude, so you get more than 1 Steedmaster, rather than increasing them up any past that. It'd just be more beneficial to keep them as 5-man units. Venarian Aurelin Sentinels. Okay. Aimed or lofted 18 inches or 30 inches. So we've got some long range bows going on. Not particularly good hitting long range bows yet, but they've got some long range bows. 1 wounds each. 5+ save. 6. Oh, I didn't check the cost on these Dawn Riders. How much do they cost to play? They're pretty good, so I assume a high amount. Dawn Riders. 130 points for 5. Xenos for Aurelia Wardens. Okay. Okay. I gotcha. If you have Aurelian Wardens, these guys are battle line. Cool. Alright, and the Aurelian Sentinels are 140 points. Dawn Riders are 130 points. The Aurelian Sentinels are 140 points. Are for 10 guys versus 5 guys. Got it. 1 wounds each. 5+ save, 6 bravery, 6 movement. A model in this unit can be a High Sentinel. A High Sentinel is armed with a Champion's Blade instead of an Orion bow and dagger, and they carry a Skyhawk lantern. So, Champion's Blade. One of them is not going to have a bow. Got it. And they all have, except for him, bows and a little dagger. And the little dagger does better. Well, or it is better than the lofted bow. So really, you want them to be hitting at a range of 18 inches rather than 30 inches. Unless... Skyhawk Lantern. At the start of your shooting phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 30 inches of this unit's High Sentinel that is not visible to them. Oh. If you do so, you must choose the lofted missile weapon characteristic for all attacks made with this unit's Aurelian bows in that phase, but that enemy unit is treated as being visible to all friendly models from this unit until the end of that phase. Okay, so that's handy. Not necessarily have to see them at all. Cool. Many stringed weapon. Before attacking with Aurelian bows, Orlan bows. Choose either of the aimed or lofted missile weapon characteristic for all the shooting attacks made by this unit in that phase. Right. Makes sense. Sunmetal weapons. If the unmodified... Oh! So this seems to be a more regular thing. Sunmetal weapons. Cool. Of the Venari. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with an Aurelian bow is 6. That attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. And they also have the power of Heish. The High Sentinel is a wizard while this unit has 5 or more models, and they start as having 10 models. They can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1. And they know this spell, which is the same as what we just read. These Venari Aurelian Wardens have that same ability, stun metal weapons and power of Heish. Also with 5 or more units. Wow, so thus far every unit has the ability to unbind spells. Cool. You Wardens cost 120 points and are battle line and make other people battle line. Cool. So, Venari Aurelian Wardens have a Warden's Pike, except for 1 model in this unit is a High Warden, and he's armed with a Champion's Blade instead of a Warden's Pike. Did I go over these? Well, basically, 3+4+ rend -1 or 1 damage on 18 inches. 30 inches is 4+4+ no rend and 1 damage. Yep. Champion's Blade, 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, rend -1, 1 damage. Venarian Dagger, 1 attack, but everyone has it. 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, no rend, 1 damage. Champion's Blade is the same here. The Warden's Pike is a 3-inch pike, which is nice. These guys are on 32mm bases, I'm assuming. So that'll get a lot of range in. That's nice. 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, no rend, 1 damage. And remember, every single one of these models is going to get that ether quartz thing that they can use once per battle, or twice if you choose this little specialty group, and for that to possibly get +1 to hits. So they can do really key hits, I think, once per battle. Once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 3 inches of the unit's High Warden and roll a dice. On a 2+, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds once per battle. Okay, cool. Oh, it's a flask, right. Nice. And only enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds on a 2+, so generally going to happen. Stun metal weapons, we know about what that does. Wall of Blades, if the target unit made a charge move in the same turn, add 1 to the runes rolls for attacks made with this unit's Warden Spikes, and improve the rend characteristic of that weapon by 1, which is good. So it would be 2 attacks, 3+3+ rend -1, 1 damage on charging. Very good, you want to charge. Seems like these units that have lances, of course, want to charge. We have an Alarith Stone Mage. The Alarith Stone Mage. Is that the fellow sitting? Yeah, it's the fellow seated, crossing his legs on a pedestal. Stone Mage is 130 points. Alright, so 5 wounds, 6-inch movement, 5+ save, 8 bravery. Staff of the High Peaks have 3-inch range, D3 attacks, 3+3+ rend -1, D3 damage. It's okay. Stone Mage stance. At the start of the combat phase, you can say this model will adopt the Stone Mage stance. If you do, this model and any friendly Alara Stone Guard units here wholly within 12 inches of this model cannot make a pile-in move that phase. However, until the end of that phase, improve the rend characteristic of melee weapons used by this model and other friendly units by 1. And those friendly units by 1. Rend. unit is either stone mallet or a diamond pick hammer. And one person has a stratum hammer. Right. So Ren -2 cannot make a pile-in move phase. Start of the combat phase. So you get in there, charge on in, get in the position that you want to be in, and then you have a Ren -2. Cool. Alright. And you don't need to be in combat. You just need to be 12 inches away from these guys in combat. This model is a wizard. It can attempt to cast one spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind one spell. It knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Gravitic Redirection spells, which has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast in your next hero phase, the caster can fly. In addition, you can pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster. If you do so, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and until your next hero phase, that unit's move characteristic is halved and it cannot fly. Gee whiz. That is super nasty. I pick an entire enemy unit and you just shut them off for only a casting value of 5, 18 inches. Oh my gosh. It's gonna be so annoying. Sorry. You're gonna be running to that objective and you'll reach it next turn and he shuts you down. Oh, imagine all these ghosts not flying. How are the ghosts affected by gravity redirecting their ghosts? And yet, somehow they are going to be affected by gravity and slowed down. Hey, it's magic. Whatever. You can choose or roll for one spell from one of the following tables for each wizard in a Lumineth Realms Lord army. Teclis knows all of the spells in the following tables. Alright, I kind of missed that important rule. Alarith Stone Guard. You guys look like a unit of 5 actually. 100 points for 5. Battle line in a Metrica army. 4 movement. Boy, they slow. On the other hand, there is a way to double their movement, so hey, it's fine. 4+ save, 7 bravery. They each have the stone mallet or diamond pick hammer, which was the 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, 1 damage each, unless he sets this up for them. And the stratum hammers can be armed with a pair of stratum hammers. Have 3 attacks, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, rend -1, no rend, 1 damage. One model could be the True Stone Seneschal. True Stone Seneschal. Standard Bearer, one in every model has a standard bearer. A standard bearer is armed with a stratum hammer instead of the unit's weapon option. 1 stratum hammer. The True Stone has 2 stratum hammers, so this is for one of them. Cool. Instead of the unit's weapon options, you can reroll battle shock tests for the units. Ability is Crushing Blow. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a stone mallet or diamond pick, stone mallet or diamond pick hammer. Same stuff, but here's the difference. Unmodified hit roll with a stone mallet is 6. Add 1 to the damage if the attack is successful. Nice. If the unmodified roll for a diamond pick hammer is 6, the attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. Which do I like better? It's all still based entirely on a hit roll of 6. So, hit roll of 6 could possibly do 2 damage. Hit roll of 6 immediately gets through. There's 2 dice it doesn't have to go through to successfully deal 1 damage, versus 2 dice it has to go through to deal 2 damage. I think I'd choose the diamond pick hammers. What would you choose? I'd think about it. But I think I would choose the more for sure damage. Alright, Alaris Spirit of the Mountain. Oh, the big guy. 12 wounds, non-character. Big guy. 6-inch movement. Well, he's a little faster than the Tree Lord Ancient. 3+ save. 10 bravery of the Tree Lord. He has a Geomantic Blast, which starts as a range of 30 inches. 1 attack, 3+ to hit, 2+ to wound, rend -2, d6 damage. It's good. Stoneheart World Hammer, 3-inch range. 4 attacks, 3+ to hit, 2+ to wound, rend -1, rend -2. Damage is 5. World Hammer damage is 5. Starts off just straight 5 per attack. Yikes. Cool. In addition, he also has his Cloven Hooves. 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, 2 damage each. Both quite nasty. Well, yikes. How much are you? Alarith Spirit of the Mountain. Alarith Spirit of the Mountain. 340. Okay, so more expensive than a Tree Lord. I'm comparing the Tree Lords because I know them and their power pretty well. All but immovable. If this model does not make a... I'm assuming... Look at that. Our first non-wizard. Oh, those guys aren't wizards either. This has a single model armed with a Geomantic Blast, Stoneheart World Hammer, and Cloven Hooves. All but immovable. If this model does not make a charge move in your charge phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the model's melee weapons until your next movement phase. So you want him to come, you want the enemy to come to you. Interesting. Still, oh my gosh, that's nasty. If you survive all of his attacks, he gets better. If he does charge you, ponderous advice. At the end of your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's Elf hero within 3 inches of this model. If that Lumineth Realm Lord's Elf hero is within 3 inches of this model at the start of your next hero phase, then that hero can use the command ability in that turn without spending any command points. Cool. Command ability. Oh, well, I suppose if they're your general, then they'd have command abilities. Stoneheart Shockwave. At the start of the enemy shooting phase and at the start of any combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit within range of this model's Stoneheart Shockwave ability that is visible. The range of the Stoneheart Shockwave ability for this model is shown in the damage table above. Oh, this is a new thing that hasn't happened yet. 12 inches to start off with. If you do, subtract 1 from hit rolls for that unit until the end of that phase. A unit cannot be affected by this ability more than once per phase. At the start of the enemy shooting phase and start of any combat phase. That's particularly nasty. Cool. So he's going to want to get into melee, move 6 inches, but there was a way to double the movement, unless it was only for certain models. Double the movement. Oh, Lumineth Realm Lords. Okay, so it's the lore of Haish. So Teclis, Light of Eltharion, Calthalars, and Vanari wizards can use this speed of Haish ability, double the move characteristic, for a value of 5, probably a value of 4. Or you get to reroll it. Some variants of it. So, generally happening. Having the move of your enemies and doubling the move of yourself. Oh my gosh. This is going to be vicious. Okay. Imagine him charging across the field. Boy. Stone Mage Symbiosis. When you look at look up a value on this model's damage table if this model is within 12 inches of that fellow. This model is treated as having suffered no wounds. Within 18 inches of a friendly model with this ability, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that unit's melee weapons in that combat phase. Gee, that's nasty. A unit cannot benefit from this ability more than once per combat phase, and a unit cannot benefit from this ability and the Unshakable Faith of the Mountains command ability in the same phase. Unshakable Faith of the Mountains, wherever that is, can't be stacked. Got it. +1 to attacks. Ah, that's nasty. 3 attacks, 4 attacks. D3 +1. Oh, goodness. These really like to work together. I'd play him. Aelven, the Stoneheart King. The Stoneheart King strides from the golden light of dawn with hammers raised. The legendary Elementor is Emetrica's immortal sentience in war form, harder than stone and with the slow burning anger of the mountains behind each shattering blow. Fancy fellow. Is that all done by hand, or is that etched in? I think it's etched in. Cool. Alright. Also has the Geomantic Blast. 1, 3, 2, 2, 6. 1, 3, 2, 2, 6. So the same. 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 He has 14 wounds versus 12 wounds, saves on 3+, movement and bravery is the same. He has the Fire Stealer Hammers versus Stoneheart World Hammer. 2-inch range, 6 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, red -1 damage, starts as 5. Just nasty. Cloven Hooves, 2 attacks, 3+3+, red -1, 2 damage. So that's the same. But nasty. Okay. Named character, armed with what you would expect, all but immovable. Same. Add 1 to attacks if he didn't charge until your next movement phase. Oh my gosh! Did I read that right? I think I missed that the first time around. It's until your next movement phase. If this model does not make a charge move in your charge phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this model's melee weapons until your next movement phase, which means it'll be in their turn too. Unless you have a double turn, but that's fine. But it could be in their turn too that he gets those extra attacks. Yikes. Fire Stealer Hammers. If the unmodified hit roll for a attack is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. Mind? Elder Wisdom. At the start of your hero phase, you can pick 1 Lumineth realm or elf hero within 6 inches of this fellow. If that Lumineth elf hero is within 6 inches of the model at the start of this hero, then that Lumineth realm's lord's elf hero can use the command ability in that turn without spending any of your command points. Okay. Guardian of Heish. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy models that are within range of this model's Guardian of Heish ability. The range of the Guardian of Heish ability for this model is shown on the damage table above. Subtract 1 from hits for attacks made by enemies. And the range is 12. That was the same. You can pick 1 enemy unit. Oh, okay. Cool. So, similar. This one you choose 1 enemy unit within 12 inches to subtract 1 from hit rolls. And this one, you just subtract 1 from hit rolls to any enemy units within 12 inches. Souped up version. Cool. Stone Mage Symbiosis. Man, if you have both of these out on the battlefield, you're not getting a lot of attacks on the go. It doesn't say. A unit cannot be affected by this ability more than once per phase, but it's not the same ability, so wow, nasty. When you look up a value on this model's damage table, if this model is within 12 inches of a friendly stone mage, it's treated as having suffered no wounds. Cool, so stone mage, important for these guys. Yeah, you might as well, I guess. You're a Metrica in particular. So you have to choose the Metrica. Alright, how much are you anyway? 360, so same. Oh no, you are 340. You're 360. And you're a leader. Unshakable Faith of the Mountains. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick one up to D3 friendly elf units wholly within 12 to 4 inches of a friendly model with this command ability. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic of those units' melee weapon in that combat phase. A unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than one. Oh, Faith of the Mountains and Unshakable Faith of the Mountains. Okay, so that was the one that was referring to this. So even if you use it twice, the same unit cannot have +2 to attacks after all that's said and done. After all is said and done. Okay, cool. And that, I guess, is it. Warscrolls. The Endless Spells. Lumineth Wizards. So this is another option that all of these wizards can use. The Endless Spells. I guess I should go through it so you see whether you want to get the Endless Spells. What are we doing? Casting value of 7. Only Realm Mode Wizards. Cast setup 1 Twin Stones model wholly within 6 inches. Okay. Twin Stone. When this model is set up, place a D6 beside it with 1 facing up. Each time a spell is successfully cast by a unit within 12 inches and is not unbound, after the effects of the spell has been resolved, increase the value of the dice beside this model by 1 to a max of 6. If a Lumineth wizard is within 12 inches of this thing before making the casting roll, the player controlling that wizard can say that they will draw on the power of the twin zones. If they do so, add the value of the dice beside this model to the casting roll. Then after the effects of the model have been resolved, change the value of the dice beside this model back to 1. If they do so, add the value of the dice beside this model to the casting roll. Okay, so it goes up in its reservoir of power, but to a minimum of 1. So while they have it beside it, it's always going to have a +1 to the casting roll. Really? Yes. But it can go up and up, and you could decide not to do it until later on when a spell is really important. What is the casting value of 7? What are the points of taking this? 30 points. Well, that's not much at all to add all of that, because the spells are, I mean, your guys are all over the place. So it would be kind of handy if you could squeeze this fellow in there. I would certainly do it. Sanctum of Amentok. Casting value of 7. Wizards. Set up 1 Sanctum within 3 inches of the caster and more than 3 inches away from any other units. You'll have to watch out where you put that one a bit. Then set up a 2nd and 3rd. Okay, this thing. Touching the tip. More than 3 inches from any other units and the caster. And with the caster inside the ring. Cool. Alright. Makes a ring around him, but he has to be alone. As long as the Sanctum of Amentok remains on the battlefield, the caster and the Sanctum of Amentok are treated as being a single model from the caster's army that uses the caster's Warscroll as well as the Endless Spells rules. It's treated as an enemy model by the opposing player's army. If the caster is slain, the Sanctum of Amantok is immediately dispelled and removed from play along with the caster. If the Sanctum of Amantok is dispelled and the caster is not slain, remove the Endless Spell models from play and leave the caster on the battlefield. Okay, what does it do? Sigil of Ingra. Subtract 1 from hit rolls and add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target this model. Cool. In addition, at the end of the combat phase, if this model was targeted by any enemy attacks during that phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this model. On a 1 to 3, nothing happens. On a 4 to 5, unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. These are now the boundaries, or the base basically, of the model inside. And so the enemy can target it as a model as normal. I'm assuming you have to be able to fit these guys together. Wizards. I wonder how big these are. Can you fit? Oh, but he's not a wizard, is he? No, the 2 big guys aren't wizards. No. And no. Big guys aren't wizards. Can you fit within Teclis? You're definitely a wizard. Can you fit within there? I'm assuming they made it so that you can just fit on the inside. I'm assuming. So it looks like since you have to be with more than 3 inches away from any other units, you'd want to do this right at the beginning. Or, you know, just keep yourself away from 3, but it would be cool if you did it right at the beginning. Subtract 1 from hit rolls and add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target this model. So that ability, what is it, Lookout Sir or something like that, where normally you'd want to keep your heroes close to regular troops so that they get -1 to hit. Well, this one does the same thing, but also add 1 to save rolls. So improved version of that. And you run on into combat. If this model was targeted by any enemy attacks during the phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches. On a 1 to 3, nothing happens. On a 4 to 5, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and on a 6, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. It's 70 points though, right? And lastly, Ruin of Petrification for 30 points. A single model, casting value of 8. Any of the wizards successfully cast setup 1 wholly within 18 inches at the start of the movement phase, and at the end of the movement phase, roll a dice for each unit that was within 6 inches of the model. On a 4+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Well, that's pretty nasty. At the start of the movement phase and at the end of the movement phase, roll a dice for each unit that was within 6 inches. Casting value of 8. In addition, subtract 1 from run and charge rolls for units within 6 inches of this model. This ability has no effect on the Lumineth. This one you can move around. This one you can't. But hey, you put it in a specific spot and protect your people or objective. That could really be nasty. I'd probably pick these guys up. I assume they'd be like 45 or 50-ish so in Canadian. And that's it. Ooh, fancy.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.